Welcome to English Refine, a channel that helps learners improve English speaking, grammar, and just daily conversation using really simple and clear explanations.
That's right. And we are so happy you are joining us today.
Yeah, exactly. I'm an English learner myself, acting as your host today, and I'm sitting here with our amazing English teacher for this deep dive into the source material.
So welcome. Thank you. It is really great to be here. I always love breaking down these confusing grammar rules into something, easy to understand.
Yeah, and today's topic is a big one. I mean, it's something that always trips me up. We are looking at how to use will versus going to in English.
Oh, yes, the classic battle.
Right. Because in a lot of other languages, the future tense is just, well, one simple word or rule. But in English, choosing between will and going to isn't just about time. It's about, like, your intent or when a decision was actually made.
Exactly. And our mission today is to look beyond just the rigid textbook rules. We want to focus on the feeling of these words. The goal for you listening is to stop translating in your head and just start speaking naturally.
I love that. Bypassing that mental checklist. Okay, so let's unpack this. What is the biggest difference between them?
Well, it really comes down to one very simple question. When was the decision made? If you can answer that, you solve most of the mystery.
Okay, when was the decision made? So let's talk about going to first.
Right. So we use going to when a plan already exists in your mind. It is a decision that you made before you started speaking. You already thought about it.
Oh, okay. Like that example from the JISH podcast transcripts we read.
Yes, the Grand Canyon story.
Yeah. So in that story, Lisa says to her friend, I'm going to visit the Grand Canyon next weekend. And she says going to because, well, she already booked the hotel, right?
Yeah. Exactly. She booked the hotel. She talked to her brother about driving. The plan is already real in her head. She isn't deciding right now. She is just telling her friend about a plan she made yesterday.
All right. It's an old plan. But then her friend Tom hears about this trip for the very first time. And Lisa says, hey, do you want to come?
And how does Tom answer?
He just says, I'll come.
He uses will.
Yes, because Tom didn't have a plan. He is deciding right now in the exact moment of speaking. It's a spontaneous decision.
Wow. Okay. So will is for right now. And it's funny, like, what if Tom said, I am going to come?
That would sound so strange.
Right. Like he secretly planned to go on her trip before she even asked him.
It sounds a little creepy, actually, like he was hiding in the background. Will is natural because it shows he just made the choice. Let me give you another really common daily life example.
Yeah, I need all the examples I can get.
Let's say you are at a restaurant. You sit down, the waiter gives you a menu, and you look at it. The waiter comes back and says, what would you like? You look up and say, I'll have the chicken.
Oh, right. Because I just decided.
Exactly. You use will because the choice happened on the spot. If you look at the waiter and say, I am going to have the chicken, it sounds a bit too serious.
Yeah, it sounds like it's my life's mission to eat this chicken. Like I wrote it in my calendar 3 weeks ago.
That is a perfect way to think about it. Going to is like a calendar invite. Will is like a sudden pop-up notification on your phone.
I really like that. Calendar invite versus pop-up notification. So, if my roommate opens the fridge and says, hey, there's no milk, I can just say, oh, I'll go buy some.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know the milk was gone until they told you. But what if you already opened the fridge an hour ago and you already saw the empty milk bottle?
Oh, then I already have a plan to go to the store. So I would say, yeah, no, I am going to buy some later.
Spot on. The physical situation is the same, no milk. But your timeline is different, so your grammar changes. That is so cool. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense for plans we make ourselves. But what about things we can't control? Like predicting the weather. I feel like this is where I get really confused.
That is a great point. Making predictions is the second big rule. And again, both words are used, but they have very different feelings. Let's look at going to first.
Okay.
We use going to for predictions when we have physical evidence right now. You can see it or hear it happening.
Like the classic textbook example, looking at the sky.
Right. You step outside, the sky is totally black and the wind is blowing. You point up and say, look at those dark clouds. It is going to rain.
I can literally see the clouds. I have proof.
Exactly. You aren't guessing. You are just looking at evidence. The Unit 20 grammar exercises give another great example. Imagine a man walking and he is looking at his phone. He isn't looking down, and there is a big hole in the street right in front of him.
Oh, no.
What do you say?
I would say he is going to fall.
Yes, because you see the man, you see the hole, the evidence is right there. But now, let's talk about will. We use will when we are just guessing or sharing an opinion without real evidence.
So if I just wake up and I feel like it's a sad day, I might say, I think it will rain later.
Exactly. You don't see clouds, you just have a feeling. Or maybe you are talking about the future of the world. I think people will fly in cars one day.
Right. I don't have a flying car in my garage to show you. It's just my opinion.
Yes. And this is a common mistake learners make. If you stand outside on a beautiful sunny day with no clouds at all and you say, it is going to rain, native English speakers will get really confused.
Yeah, they'll probably start looking around like, wait, where are the clouds? What do you see that I don't see?
Exactly. Because going to promises them that there is physical proof. So if there is no proof, just use will.
That is such a good trick. Evidence equals going to. Opinion equals will. Okay, so let's move on to something really interesting we found in the sources. The human element.
Ah, yes. The social side of grammar. Will isn't just about time. It is a tool for connecting with people.
Yeah, especially when offering to help someone. The English Daily Speak podcast talked about this. When we help someone, we almost always use will.
Because offering help is usually a spontaneous reaction. If your friend looks really tired, you don't plan it for a week. You just see them and say, I'll make you some tea.
Or someone drops a really heavy bag on the stairs, I would say, oh, I'll carry that for you.
Right. It is instant kindness.
But wait, what if I see someone drop their phone and it breaks? What if I walk up to them and say, I am going to help you?
Oh, please do not say that.
Why? It sounds so weird, right?
It sounds incredibly weird because going to means you had a plan. If you say, I am going to help you after they drop their phone, it sounds like you knew they were going to drop it.
Like I planned the whole accident just so I could be the hero.
Exactly. It doesn't sound friendly. It sounds a little scary. I'll help you sounds warm and natural.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it makes so much sense. And the sources also say will is used for promises, right?
Yes. Promises and refusals. Will is the language of strong commitment. I won't tell anyone your secret. Or, I'll pay you back tomorrow.
Yeah.
You are using your willpower to make a promise.
Willpower. That's a great connection. And there's another part in the Talk Gemma source that totally blew my mind about how our emotions actually change our grammar.
Yes, grammar acts like an emotional barometer. It shows people how you're feeling inside.
Right. So, like, imagine you get into a huge fight with your friend. You are so angry, just yelling. You slam the door and say, I'll never talk to him again.
You use will because it is raw, angry emotion happening right in that second. It is a sudden reaction.
But then let's say 3 months pass. You calm down. You think about it a lot. You sit down with a coffee and say calmly, I'm going to focus on myself for a while.
Exactly. Do you hear the difference?
Yeah, it's huge.
By choosing going to, you are telling the listener that you thought about this carefully. It isn't a sudden angry outburst. It is a real, calm plan. Native speakers hear this difference automatically.
It's like a secret code. You don't even have to say, I am calm now. The grammar just tells them. So, okay, we've talked a lot about the rules, but how do we actually sound natural when we say these words? Because reading a textbook is one thing, but talking to people on the street is totally different.
It is very different. In real, everyday spoken English, we use a lot of contractions.
Yeah, people speak really fast.
They do. So instead of saying, I will buy the snacks, native speakers squeeze the words together. They say, I'll buy the snacks.
Oh, it almost sounds like the word aisle, like in a supermarket.
That's a great comparison, yes. She'll come later. I'll be here soon. We almost completely dropped the W sound.
And what about going to? Because I hear a completely different word in movies all the time.
Ah, yes. You are talking about gonna.
Gonna, yes. Everyone says, I'm going to do this or we're going to go there.
It is extremely common. When native speakers talk fast, going to just turns into gonna. But I really have to give learners a warning here.
Oh, warning.
Yes. While gonna is perfectly fine when you are speaking to friends or sending a quick text message, you should never write it in a formal situation.
So, like, don't use it in an English test.
Never. Do not write gonna in an essay or a business email to your boss. It is just a spoken sound, not a real dictionary word for writing.
Good to know. Keep gonna for speaking, not for important emails.
Got it. But wait, there's another mistake learners make a lot with gonna, right? The missing to be trap.
Yes, this is a very common mistake. When learners try to speak fast and use gonna, they sometimes drop the verb to be. They say, I gonna study tonight.
Oh, I see. They forget the am.
Exactly. You must always use am, is, or are. I am going to study. Or even if you speak fast, I'm going to study. You have to hear that M sound. She's going to call. You have to hear the S.
Right. You can just say, he gonna call. It has to be, he is gonna call or he's gonna call. Exactly. The sentence breaks without that little verb.
Okay, let's actually do a quick mini practice for the listeners and for me.
I think that is a wonderful idea.
All right, hit me with a situation.
Okay. You are walking down the street. You see an older woman, and she is trying to carry a very heavy box. She looks like she needs help. What do you say to her?
Okay, so I am just seeing this right now. I didn't plan it. So it's spontaneous. I step in and say, I'll help you with that.
Perfect. You used will because it is an instant offer to help. Let's try one more.
Okay, I'm ready.
It is Friday. Your friend asks you, what are your plans for the weekend? You bought concert tickets 2 weeks ago. What do you tell your friend?
Because I bought the tickets 2 weeks ago, the plan is already made. So I say, I am going to a concert this weekend.
Excellent. You used going to because the plan already existed in your mind. You are doing great.
Awesome. But even with practice, when learners are actually talking to native speakers, they get really nervous. They freeze up.
Yes, they do. They try to remember all these rules, the timeline, the evidence, the promises, and their brain just stops.
And the sources mention that learners have a habit because of this fear, the will for everything crutch.
Yes. When learners panic, they often just use will for every single future event. They think it feels safer.
So they might say, I will go to the dentist tomorrow, even if they booked the appointment a month ago.
Exactly.
Is that really bad? Like, will people stop understanding them?
Not at all. Communication is the most important thing. If you say, I will go to the dentist, native speakers will understand you perfectly. They aren't going to stop you and say, excuse me, did you just decide that?
That's relief.
Yes. They might think it sounds a tiny bit funny, like you just suddenly decided to go to the dentist this exact second, but the conversation will keep moving. Context is the most important thing.
Yeah, people use context to figure it out.
Yeah.
And, in real life, native speakers mix these up naturally all the time.
Yeah.
Let me read this short paragraph from the English Daily Speak source. It's a great example.
Please do. Let's hear how they mix together.
The person says, tomorrow is going to be a busy day. I'm going to have 3 meetings in the morning. After lunch, I'll probably grab a coffee. In the evening, we are going to have a team dinner. I'm not sure what I'll order yet, but I think it will be a great night.
That is perfectly natural. Let's look at why. I'm going to have 3 meetings. That is a solid plan on their schedule.
Right. Then they say, I'll probably grab a coffee.
That is just a spontaneous maybe decision. They aren't totally sure yet. Then we're going to have a team dinner.
Back to the calendar plan.
Yes. And finally, I think it will be a great night. That is a prediction based on opinion, not evidence. So they use will.
It's like a dance. Plan, guess, plan, guess. It just flows so nicely.
It really does. And to our listeners, don't worry about being perfect right away. Just keep speaking. Making mistakes is how you learn.
So true. Just to sum it all up simply, if the plan is already in your head before you speak, use going to. If you are deciding right now or guessing, use will.
That is the golden rule. But before we finish, I have one more little secret to share with you from the Advanced Grammar Files.
Ooh, a secret. I'm listening.
We talked all about will and going to, but did you know native speakers sometimes use the present continuous tense for the future?
Wait, like saying something is happening right now, but for tomorrow.
Exactly. For example, a native speaker might say, I am meeting her tomorrow at 10:30.
I am meeting her. That's present tense, but they are talking about tomorrow. Why do they do that?
They do it when a plan is 100% certain. The ticket is bought, the time is set, the plan is so fixed that their brain treats it like it is already happening.
Wow, it's like the plan is so strong, it pulls the future right into the present. That is super advanced, but really cool to listen for.
Yes, it's a fun pattern to try and notice when you're watching English movies or talking to friends.
Definitely. Well, this has been an incredible deep dive. We've looked at timelines, weather predictions, dropped bags, and even secret advanced grammar.
I hope this helps everyone feel a bit more confident. Remember, language is just a way to connect. It doesn't have to be perfect math.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Keep practicing. Keep talking. Thank you all so much for joining us on English Refined. We encourage you to keep learning English with us, and we will see you in the next deep dive.
Keep practicing, everyone. Goodbye.